Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I am diving into two new horror movies I watched over the weekend. I will be giving you my review, my personal rating, and a few recommendations for similar films you might enjoy if these titles grab your attention. But before we get started, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on more horror reviews, breakdowns, and creepy recommendations every week. Let's get into it. Okay, so the first film that I watched, Clown in the Cornfield. So this film is based on the 2020 novel by the same name, and it delivers exactly what the title promised: blood, chaos, and one terrifying clown lurking in America's most haunted crop, which is corn. We follow Quinn and her father, who moved to the small town of Kettle Springs for a fresh start after a tragedy, but instead of peace, they walked into a community on edge. The once thriving Bay Pen corn syrup factory, the heart of the town, has burned down, leaving behind the economic ruin and resentment that runs deep. While the town fractures along generation lines, teens versus adults, a mass killer dressed as the grinning clown mascot as Bay Pen emerges. And he's not here to party, he's here to cleanse the town, one bloody murder at a time. So this movie sets you up to believe it is a standard mass killer slasher. In some ways it is, but the motivation behind the murders is what sets apart slightly. The killer isn't just a rando or a supernatural entity. The clown mask is worn by people in the town, adults who are sick of the younger generation acting wild, being rebellious, and ruin what's left of Kettle Springs. Yes, the clown isn't just one person, which I was very shocked at too, by the way. The mask is symbolic, and multiple adults, including people Quinn and her father thought they could trust, are behind the murders. And it's basically a small town purge where the older generation is trying to cleanse the town of its problems by literally wiping out the teens they blaming for everything. What really stood out to me was the film's bold, stylized color palette. That Cornfield gives that earthy gold and faded green, but once the sun goes down, we shift to deep reds, cold blues, and high contrast lighting during the kill scenes. Think of Halloween 2018 meets The Purge in rural America. The visual tone matches the theme: innocent, cornfield, kids, mascots, corrupted by violence and decay. Now, Quinn is a solid found girl now. I really like her. She was level-headed, capable with the real emotional core. Now, she couldn't drive a stick with her down, but at least she was attempting trying to escape from these crazy adults. Her relationship with her dad adds some depth, and he's one of the rare horror parents who doesn't completely check out. This is the thing that I kind of like the most, because you see most horror movies where either a teenage daughter or a teenage son tells what is going on in the town, and you have those parents pretending like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, type of thing. So I'm glad that the dad was on side. Now the teens, I'll be honest, I didn't love them that much. Maybe it's a generation thing, or maybe I'm just kind of over the whole core of rebellious teen trope, so we see so much in modern slashers. That said, their exaggerated behavior does set the stage of the chaos that follows. They're meant to be messy, and the movie leans into that. This is a true slasher film, and that's what makes it work. The kills are brutal and creative, but they're not random. They're motivated, driving the madness, which gives us a sense of structure and purpose. You feel the weight of the violence, which a lot of slashers tend to forget in favor of pure gore. Now, it had the potential to go deeper with the themes: small town, resentment, generation divided, but settle into a middle of the road slasher that's more style than substance. It's watchable and it has its moments of fun, but nothing that sticks with you after the credits roll. Now, I would give this rating, I would say a 6 out of a 10. Now, don't get me wrong, there were some okay scenes or whatnot, and the storyline, kind of reminds me of Children of the Corn, but reverse. But other than that, I kind of won't feel in some of the characters, which is the teenagers, of course. Now, if you enjoy the movie, here are some recommendations for you to watch. Alright, so make sure you head to the community tab and vote. And what's your favorite small town slasher? The next film I watch is Strange Harvest. This one is directed by Stuart Ortiz, one half of his filmmaking duo behind the cult favorite Grave Encounters. He directed the original Grave Encounters, which is still one of the most memorable found footage horror films out there. That movie had atmosphere, tension, and one of the best uses of a haunted asylum I've seen, in my opinion. Now, I haven't checked out Grave Encounters 2 yet. I don't know why, to be honest with you guys, but after watching Strange Harvest, it's definitely moving up on my list. Now, Strange Harvest dives deep into the psyche of both predator and prey. The story follows a team of detectives who are thrown into a disturbing investigation surrounding the return of the notorious and long thought dead serial killer known only as Mr. Shiny. Now, at first glance, it feels like your typical true crime thriller, but things start to unravel fast as the detectives uncover more. It becomes clear that Mr. Shiny isn't just a man, he might be something much worse. The crimes grow increasingly brutal and unexplainable, hitting at a larger cosmetic force behind the madness. It blends crime drama, psychological horror, and Lovecraftian elements, leaving you constantly second guessing what's real and what's supernatural. One of the strongest aspects of Strange Harvest is how it presents itself. It feels like you're watching a true crime documentary, almost like a Mindhunter meets the Fakisby tapes. The level of detail in the investigation crime scene analyze the media coverage is so immersive. I generally paused the movie halfway through to Google to see if it was based on a real case. Now, it's not, but it feels like it could be. The Zodiac Killer comparison are definitely there. Mr. Shiny has a similar mythology, cryptic clues, coded messages, realistic murders, and a long trail of victims that hint of years of silence before the sudden return. Now, let me be clear. The film does not hold back on the gore. Okay, the murders are explicit in detail and deeply unsettling. Now, if you are sensitive to graphic content, this might not be the movie for you. It reminds me of the tone and the violence in the series called Grotesquerie. If you have not watched it, I recommend that you do. Now, I will say the Grotesquerie towards the end of the episode was kind of a little bit of trash, but I would say throughout the beginning, it was pretty straight. Now, it's raw, intense, and sometimes hard to watch. The kills aren't just for shock value either. They're symbolic, ritualistic, and tied to a larger mythology, and it gets darker the deeper you go. This film has a muted, grimy color palette, lots of grays, cocoa blues, browns, and reflected the decayed mental state of both the detective and the killer. There's a slow, creepy dread in every scene. Even when nothing's happening, it's not fast-paced, but it's intentional. The quiet moments carry just as much tension as the violent ones. As its core, Strange Harvest isn't just about a killer, it's about how people try to rationalize their irrational. The detectives are fighting against something they can't explain using logic or evidence. The film explores obsession, the collapse of reason, and the terrifying idea that evil might not come from inside of us, but from somewhere else. I give Strange Harvest a 7.5 out of 10. It's bold, it's brutal, it's unsettling in the best way, and it's not for the casual horror fans, by the way. It's dark, deliberated, and deeply disturbing. Now, I'm not a fan of found footage. Let me just put that out there, and I'm quite sure I said that a couple of times. Me and found footage do not get along. But this one right here, I actually really love it. But if you are into true crime with a supernatural twist, enjoy films that leave you asking, what did I just watch? Or why do I feel like it could be real? This one is definitely for you. I highly recommend you guys to watch this found footage. Okay, I was surprised my damn self because, like I said, I don't like found footage. It is my lead horror genre. I don't know how people can watch it, but after watching this film, I have a different perspective when it comes to found footage. Now, here are some recommendations. Thank you so much for watching my channel. Make sure you like and subscribe, and until then, see you later.